Where's my panel? Well, that's weird. Nope, that's not what I need. Huh. Oh, there it is. Hiding in the corner. All right, all right, all right. Let's get this party started. Right. All right, hopefully people will be trickling in shortly. All right. I got to start doing better at notifying people. I mean, it's not that important, but, you know, I suppose it would be a good idea. Okay. We have begun. What's my life goal tonight? Let me change this. I see some people starting to trickle in. Easy for me to say. People are starting to trickle in. That is nice. Let's see. All right, I got my housekeeping taken care of. So there. All right, folks. It is Saturday, July 5th, 2025. I see Danny has joined. Danny, Tommy looks like cares, spelled in an interesting way. Johnny A. Hello, everybody. Who else is here? All right, so we are off to the races, so to speak. Danny with a lovely heart me, daily heart me, leveling up. Good stuff, Danny. Thank you. All right. We are cooking with gas. So once again, this is Yoddah Live. Today is Saturday, July 5th, 2025. Hey, Danny, what's going on?
Oh, it's a beautiful day to be alive, and I'm with my good friend, the professor.
There we go. That's a double good stuff. I am with you. As people come in, we have Jude Longo. Hello, user. Oh, sorry, Leroy Weeks, it looks like. Some people are popping in and out. Some people are staying as per usual. So, Danny, I don't know about you, but I had a very, very chill day. I actually woke up a couple hours before I intended to, feeling okay. Things. Woke up on time, feeling good, feeling rested. Had the ambition to get on my bicycle and go over and get some groceries, and that was cool. And then I had, I don't know, about an hour or hour and a half conversation with my ex-wife. That was nice. So, it's been a relatively calm day. I'm almost through the film F1. That's good too. So when we're
Oh,
done here
yeah.
tonight, I'm going to finish that. But anyway, how was your day?
It's been good so far. I had a phone call for about an hour and a half with a friend of mine that lives out in New York.
Nice.
So that was nice, and she's a sweet person. I love talking to her, and I been hanging out with Grandma Carol, and we've been kind of kicking back, having hamburgers again from yesterday. So
Nice.
we're nice and full. It's a beautiful day here in the great Northwest. I'm air conditioning on. I'm comfortable.
There you go.
I didn't get up till noon or a little up past noon today.
Ah,
We both
isn't that the
slept in a little
best?
bit 'cause we was up till 3 or 4 o'clock this morning.
All right.
So,
So,
and we're watching the Alamo with John Wayne on TV. So we're
ah,
I'm living the dream, my friend. I don't know about you.
that is beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that was the conclusion of the phone call that I had with my ex-wife. Was like, yeah, we're very aware of what's going on. She's very civic minded as I am, and we know how bad it can get, it might get. We hope that it doesn't get, but I just basically centered us by saying, what's happening right now. And like you, I talked about being in an air-conditioned dwelling, having, food in the pantry, food in the fridge, having my dozen or so supplements that I take. Um, and everything is all right now. And I also reminded us both that everything that life has thrown at us, we've survived so far. So, and America's been through worse than this. Let me try to say that again in English. America has been through much worse than Donnie Dump. I know it doesn't feel like it for some people who, maybe are young or whatever, but, America's been through a lot of shit, Um, I mean, what they went through in the 1700s and the 1800s and the early 1900s, mid 1900s, this has been, there's been a lot of struggle in America, but America has um, basically gotten through everything. And Blue Mush Love, how you doing? So I'll invite you up as well in case you feel like coming up. But I don't know. Am I being too optimistic, Danny, or does that make sense?
No, you're not being too optimistic. Like you said, we've been through a lot of uh, problems through our lifetime, especially in our country, and what I've gone through and what you've gone through so far. Uh, the, doesn't even compare to what's happening now. But
Right.
we'll get through it. We
Exactly.
only got 3.5 years left of this numbnuts in the White House, and uh, and dealing with all the people that surround us from dumb Pakistan. I mean, we just have to let it flow with and
I think
like a duck with the water off its back. Just let it roll off your back and toughen up your skin because it's going to get a little harder.
That's true.
exactly. I think that's excellent advice. Blue Mush Love, how are you?
Hi, Yoddah. Oh, I'm tired. It's been a long day.
Has it?
My
Yeah.
voice. Yes, I saw my mom today and my godmother
Oh
and
wow.
some family members, and it was nice. We had brunch, and it's just. No, did you just come on? Because I've been looking for you. I was like,
Just came on 8 minutes ago.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just anybody who's just joining, I do want to say, when I see Danny up on here and BM Danny, I'm like with Yoda, chef's kiss. So thanks for letting me up on the panel.
Oh, my pleasure. You always add so much to the conversation. So, and that makes it easier on me. And I'm an inherently lazy human being. So the less work I have to
Same
do, the
here.
better.
Air five.
Oh,
And it's always a pleasure having Blue Mush on the panel. I really enjoy you,
yeah.
and I like you when you pop into my life too. So keep coming around. We love you, and we like you to keep coming, and keep coming around.
Yes,
There you
sir.
go.
I really wanted to come to your game night, but I was just leaving the house and I saw the live, and I think I saw Yoda on there too.
Yep.
And
Yes.
I wanted to jump on so bad, but I'm like, no, wait, I can't. I'm about to drive,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
will. Oh, I'm so joining that because the
Yeah.
laughter
Yeah.
you guys have,
Oh my
that's
God.
so ooh,
So
amazing.
unexpected and so much fun. Because and it's funny because you get to see different sides of people's personalities. Some people get very competitive and stuff, which of course there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just kind of funny, especially when it comes out of unexpected places. And then there's people like me who I'm sort of competitive, but not competitive enough to give a shit. And mostly I just have a lot of fun, and so it's a very good utilization of TikTok. Just get together with friends and have some fun. That's what my life is dedicated to, basically.
Amazing. You're deliberate with your energy, and that's
Yeah,
learned,
I
and
do
that's
my
great.
best. I do my best. And today I'm rocking a different microphone. For those folks, sometimes people are curious about the gear I use. This is a Maono PDX 400, something like that, PDX D 400, whatever. I'll figure it out. But it's a Hawaiian microphone, and for a quarter of the price of the SM7B, which so many gearheads think they have to have, you have the same sound. So cheap
Smart man.
and just as good, which is, by the way, that's a tattoo I have on my ass. Hi-oh.
Hi,
Yeah.
oh,
I
I
did.
need that microphone so I can do a hi, oh.
There you go.
I
Yeah,
need that
no,
microphone. You want to give it to me for Christmas or what?
I might be so inclined. I have something
No,
like
I'm just kidding.
24 microphones. I could spare to lose a few. And of course this is over a 5-year period. I bought the cheapest mics I could find that were good quality, and it takes a little legwork, but you can do it. I never believed the hype of having to spend $500 just to capture the sound of my voice, and I'm proud to say that so far I have not. The most expensive mic I've bought was $135. Which I normally use, and there are people that go out and spend $3,000 just on a microphone. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. If you have the money, go for it. But some people convince themselves that they can only sound good with expensive mics, and that is simply not true. And I have
Agree.
evidence to prove it. Billie Eilish, whose music I absolutely love. Her brother Phineas is her producer, and he's absolutely brilliant, in my opinion. Their first album, which made her a superstar, they recorded using a $100 microphone. It's
Mm-hmm.
called the AT 2020, and anybody could find it now. It's like $90 to $100, and that album sounds amazing. That album sounds like it could have been produced at any of the biggest studios in the world, and they did it in their bedroom.
It's the same thing as brand prescription versus generic. It's the
Absolutely.
same ingredients. Who
If
puts
I
more money behind the advertisement?
Right.
Same quality. In fact, it's likely made from the same factory.
Sometimes, yeah.
Hmm.
What were we going to say, Danny?
if I may do a PSA real quick there, I've set a new goal down in the chat. If you would pay attention, please. Our goal is 5,000 likes, so I'll need you to tap the screen, share out this live. We got 6, 7 in the house. I know it's a lot to ask, but we can do it. And also, if you hold down on Yoda's face or no, his handsome face here, you can bring your friends list up
Cool.
and you can just keep sharing the live out to all your friends. Just keep tapping them down because you only get 15 when you hit the arrow at the bottom of the screen. But if you hold your nose down and bring the friends list up, you can send it to all your friends. You get about 30 all of
Wow.
a sudden. You can send them right out to them. And hit that orange heart for Yoda. That helps the algorithm and the daily heartbeat. And he has a small gift goal up here of 100 roses. I already knocked out 51 of them, so the rest of you
Beautiful.
can help him out. That's 49 that he needs. And I really appreciate your tapping and sharing out the live. And all I can say is thank you for coming and let it roll, Yoda.
Spectacular PSA. Thank you, Danny. And USLOLOUS. Thank you for the heart me and all of the gift giving. I appreciate that. Yeah. So, one of the things that I'm doing, I just launched a new channel on TikTok. I still haven't set up the YouTube channel for it, but it's coach.yoda. That's my username. And as always, Yoda is spelled Yoddah because film studios are litigious. And I am doing what I have never done in the past and trying to really get my coaching message out. And I haven't made up my mind if I want to monetize it yet, but I do want to balance the conversations that I normally have on TikTok with conversations of positivity and self-development because I have dedicated the last almost 38 years of my life to that on a daily basis. My goal is to just be a little bit better every day, even if it's like 1/100% better. Eventually, we get a few percentage points going on every year, and you get a better human being with any luck, right?
I
So that'll
always
be
will.
coming soon.
I
Say again?
always support. I will always support monetization when the intention comes from a really good place, and
Yeah,
you will be helping more people than hurting people, or just doing it out of blatant no intention or purpose. And
yeah.
so I respect that very, very
Yeah,
much.
yeah. I'm very much a believer that like not everything you're good at you have to get paid for. Um, but at the same time, my strongest motivation in life, my one of my biggest drivers, if not the biggest driver right after being a father, is inspiring people. And I don't think of myself as a life coach because I think that's pretentious, frankly. And no offense to anybody that labels himself a life coach. Um, I I I know one thing very well, which is emotional management. So that's what I focus on. And I've helped people get through very difficult times, and it was always extremely rewarding when that happened. And so I want to continue that on TikTok. Right. We have got now. I had a feeling that this weekend was going to be a little slow because people still have a lot of food and a lot of fireworks still left that and I know because I just heard a few people right before I came on start lighting them up. And that's cool. That's part of the Saturday chill. We don't need a big crowd. We can just talk amongst ourselves and enjoy ourselves, so to speak. Let's see. Someone said, okay, just catching up, making sure I'm not missing too many comments. I see Apple user 2568. Welcome aboard. So, so along the lines of positivity and trying to keep balance and try to manage your emotions. Of course, I'm not asking anybody to reveal anything too personal or too painful, but just in general, and we can start with you, Blue Mush. I love that Blue Mush love. That's such a great username. We'll start with you. Like, what are your strategies for maintaining some kind of emotional balance?
Ooh, well, there's always two degrees of it. I look at it. There's your personal, interior, like internal, and then there's your external, and the fireworks are just going off over here too. Um, there's your internal piece, and then there's the external piece. And the most important thing I've learned is that you have to almost violently protect your piece. And I'll give you like an example of that in a minute. But then there's the external, the stuff that's going on with in the news, or what we used to call the news, and now we don't know who's right or wrong and this and that and up and down. But I think protecting your centerpiece and being able to have the strength and control to put the phone down, sit outside, have coffee, take deep breaths, meditate however you know how to meditate, because that's always been tough for me with ADHD.
Hmm.
Um, but being able to, carve out time to step away from things that might take you off that path of control. And
Right.
it's usually technology or exterior trying to seep into your interior and causing an emotional reaction. And so if I can control that by shutting off any of the inputs from outside, I feel much more in control. And I do that through music, and I do that through, I used to do it through work. I used to, work my butt off, and work through really hard times overworking even. And now that I was laid off, I've had to really dig deep inside and what is my peace? To
Right.
go to bed when I feel like I want to, wake up when I feel like I want to, but there has to be some discipline of routine for me.
Hmm.
And that's that cup of coffee in the morning, turn that music on, sit outside, get some sunshine, or listen to the rain if it's raining. And that starts everything in the right motion. And if things get a little bit chaotic or out of control, I turn it off or I stop, I put the phone down because those little dopamine hits are very addictive.
Yeah, and they take a toll. And before we get to your question on Elon, um, I think of what you're saying in terms of exerting control where you can and creating an ecosystem for yourself. Because I have come to the conclusion, and I don't know whether I'm right or wrong about this, but I believe and the only thing that we seem to have control over, at least what I seem to have control over, is how I react to both my inner world and the outside world. I'm not going to stop Dump from being a thief. I'm not going to stop people from being racist. I can't control any of that. I wish I could. I wish I could just imbue everyone with compassion, because if everyone had compassion. Wait, what is this? Couldn't connect? Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I got a weird warning from TikTok saying they couldn't connect. That was odd. Anyway, so if you would imbue everyone with compassion, I think 90%, maybe higher, 99% of the issues that we're seeing would just go away, you know? And so this without hello forward. Wow, this is
You may
interesting.
end up having to restart and start your live again,
Yeah, I'd rather not do that if I can
which wouldn't
avoid
be a
it.
big deal. We could start again. You might get more
Yeah,
people too if you do that.
yeah. Um,
It's up to
Interesting,
you.
because
I just
everything seems to be working. Yeah, I'm just wondering why I'm getting that weird tech thing. But all right, because then I got a warning from another piece of software at the same time, and I'm like, yeah, but everything's working. I don't get it. But
yeah, I would
There might be
personally I would restart and come back in if I was you. That because normally when I share out the live like I did,
mhm,
at least two of those three people that are online would have came right through the live, and they didn't come.
interesting.
WKRP did not come, and I shared it to him. Sherry didn't come, and she's online.
Yeah. Uh, Stella's Faves says, "Can you say happy birthday to my husband?" That's funny.
Oh,
So
can you
let
say
me
happy birthday?
hold on. No, no, no. Damn.
Oh,
Hold on. I probably will
oh,
restart the live, but let me just. Come on, what's going on here? I can't see this person. Whoops. Well, that's interesting. Oh, technology. Oh, humanity. What a weird thing. What a very weird situation. Hmm. All right. Hello, Johnny A. We'll wait till people get back in here. We had some technical glitch. Don't know what it is. Don't know what happened there. But, huh. Okay, I gotta get rid of this strong here. All right. For some reason, I am experiencing technical difficulties with one of my software packages, but We will keep the party rolling. All right, so let me try this again. Let me see what we can do here. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. All right. Technology sometimes fails us, but mostly it's fine. Sometimes it just fails. So I'm rebooting some stuff, seeing if we can make this happen. Here we go. Trying it again. All right. Hopefully I'm back up and running. Looks like I am. Um, had some weirdness go on with the live, but I guess that happens sometimes. All right. Let's see. Rufus Lovett has stopped by. Paula has stopped in. Hello, welcome to Yoddah Live. Unstable internet connection. Don't seem right. Bazooka is in the house. Hello. And hopefully we'll get back to it. Huh. Couldn't connect. What is happening here? I'm having all sorts of tech issues. Don't know why. Could be the fireworks knocked something out. I don't know. Think I'm okay, but then I get this weird warning. Let's see. I had to reboot Studio, but that didn't seem to help. There must be something else going on that I don't know about. Could be a TikTok thing. Who knows? But could be my computer because Windows is goofy, to say the least. All right. There's Danny. Yeah, there he is. All right, you're loading. Hey, Danny, what's going on?
Okay, here we go again.
Yeah, this is actually my third attempt. I shut it down and then booted it back up, and it didn't work. So I shut down Studio and rebooted that, and I still got a couple of the same warnings in the beginning, but I don't know what's happened. It's telling me something about connecting, but I have a feeling it's a glitch in the programming because everything else that I'm connecting to the internet with is running just fine. So I have no idea. Anyway, so hopefully Blue Mush Love will be back as well. But she had asked a question earlier. I didn't know anything about this, and maybe you do, but something about Elon Musk starting a new party. Did you hear about this?
Yes, it just came out today. I just read it while you were rebooting and stuff. He had just started the American Party. It's a third party to rival with the Democrat and Republican Party. So it just started today. He's formed in the process of forming a committee,
Mm-hmm.
and he's bankrolling it for the most part.
Sure. Well,
So
that's
it's going
good
to
because
happen.
it means
That part's going to
he
happen.
won't bankroll the Republicans this time around, so that's probably good.
Yeah. So anyway, it's true. The Hill is the one that published it, which is very credible
Sure.
organization. So
So now, well, what's your opinion? I mean, I'm going by your description of it, which I'm sure is accurate. So, what is your take on like, is it going to be effective? Is it going to be harmful to either party? Because I assume that Democrats will ignore him because of what he did for Dump. But he might siphon off some Republicans. Who knows?
I think that he'll probably siphon off the more or less the when do you remember when that what was that Ross Perot
Yes.
when he formed that party that he formed, that independent part, whatever they call, I can't remember the
Mm-hmm.
name of it. It
Right.
siphoned off a little of both parties
Mm.
when he formed, and I think the same thing's going to happen now. I think that some of the Green Party and the Libertarian Party will probably join it. Uh, not a lot, probably get 5% of each one of those. There's also there's a well, there must be 10 or 12 minor parties that always run somebody. And I would not be surprised that Marianne Williamson probably ends up trying to become the candidate of the American Party. She
Yep.
comes out every 4 years to run for president. So
Yeah.
uh,
Thank you, Mariatsu, for joining me. Blue Mush is back.
I don't know about Bernie. Bernie stays an independent, and
Yeah,
he caucuses with the
I don't think
Democrats, but
I don't think Bernie's like really a factor anymore. Even though
no, he's
I
too old.
really admire him. I mean, he's as a politician goes, he's been on the right side of the history always. He has been as consistent as a beam of light for over 50 years. But I think he failed because, as I've said before, he's a reformer and America just is not
Hold
tolerant
on.
of reformers. But we are going over your question, Blue Mush, regarding Elon Musk, because I didn't hear anything about it before you mentioned it. So my thinking is that Republicans will, I mean, I'm sorry, Democrats will likely not follow him at all, just because I'm assuming they're disgusted at what he did for Dump and with Dump, and that, but I think he has more potential to siphon off Republicans than Democrats. But what do you think about that?
I think well, first I'll say with the Bernie thing, I think Bernie was independent and he knew he'd have more play at the time and he chose Democrat because I remember being in Oregon and having to change my independent to Democrat in order for my vote to matter. This is way back. And unfortunately, politics played politics and it went towards someone else. But
Right.
he had to make that play, and that wasn't even enough. And that's probably the biggest wave you'll see of an independent party moving the needle without taking votes away from one party or the other, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that
And
makes a
so
lot of sense.
that kind of was a little bit of a lesson there, but which sucks because it shouldn't be that way. As far as it depends what the intentions are of Elon Musk because he's already donated at first what $20 million. That's like a lot of people's rent for a couple years, to Trump, and didn't get what he wanted from that. In fact, gasoline won and oil won over EV mandates, and therefore, um, it's that battle of what's best for the earth and what drives the biggest profit, the biggest dollar to the pocket of the wealthy. And he got a taste of that. And so I'd be interested to see if it's really for profit for himself or is it profit because it benefits the earth and humanity. And I'm pretty sure it's not the latter.
Yeah, I think Elon is a joke, as just in general, as a human being. I think he's a joke. I think that he is not to be trusted at all. I don't think anything he did in government came from a place of wanting to help anyone but himself, because the first thing he did when he got into the reins of power is that he shut down or crippled all of the agencies that were investigating his 7 different companies.
Mhm.
So that to me is the whole story right there. You know, he did this for himself. He did this for, and he got a lot out of it. He didn't get everything. And of course, once the breakup happened, then Dump was taking, he, Dump was taking his like toys away and that kind of stuff, and talking like a mafia don, saying, maybe we won't fund this and maybe we'll have to look into that, what we expected Dump to do. But I think I don't see how anybody would take Musk seriously because the only thing he has to offer is money. So if people are after his money, they'll probably tell him what he wants to hear so that he can think he's a good, smart boy, and they'll milk him that way. But I don't see how he's genuine in any way to the point where any reasonable person would be like, oh yeah, this sounds like a good idea, you know?
His intention wasn't for the greater good. It was for the greater good of himself, his
Oh,
family, and his little
100%.
world, you know. And in that
100%.
level, either politics or if you want to step into those positions, you're going to get a lot of crap. But he was very blatant and flagrant about it. And there's a way to be a kind and humble person and step into a position of power and illustrate how to be a leader that's deliberate and intentional for the greater good of all without intention of self profit, if you will.
Sure.
And that's gonna come because hopefully the silver lining to this yin and yang merging together would be hopefully it invigorates and lights the fire under someone who is missing purpose in their life. And this might be the thing that will push a lot of leaders that are on the fence because they've been so suppressed to step forward and ignite a change.
Yeah. That makes
That's my second
sense.
line.
Hello, Jenna T. Thank you for being here. Amanda, hello. I'm going to invite you up. I haven't spoken to you in so long. And, of course, only if you feel like coming up. Don't feel any pressure. This is not an after school special. We're not going to make fun of you if you don't come up. But
And this is a fun show Saturday. We're not talking
chill
anything
show. This is
particular.
all
Open.
chill. So, I mean, Danny,
Oh,
what, like, I shared my take on my impression of Elon Musk as a person. Um, oh, well, thank you for dropping by, Amanda. Always appreciate it. And I'd love to hear your take on him. Like, all of the bullshit that he did with Donnie Dump aside, like, do you do you assess him in a positive way as a human being?
well, yes and no. Obviously, he can't be stupid because he's a billionaire and he's done so. He's running a company that's worth multi billions of dollars, and it's he's not a stupid individual. Is he a illegal or undocumented immigrant? Not necessarily, but he did overstay his visa. So technically, he broke the law, misdemeanor.
Right,
So I mean, it
right.
wasn't that big a deal.
But
But
that's enough for Dump to ship him off, though. I mean, Dump doesn't even
yeah,
need
but
that much to ship you off.
he paid 20 billion or billion dollars to his campaign.
Yeah, I mean,
So he
all
bought his
told,
way
he
in.
he spent close to $275 million.
Well,
So,
then
with all of
there
the
you go.
Republican efforts combined.
That gave Elon 3.5 more months in the country. He's paid his way for at least till the first term, second term's over. So,
Right.
and I don't think that Trump has the cojones to have him shipped. I'll be honest with you, but I think
That's
his
interesting.
influence on this new party affecting the elections in the future is not necessarily threatening but critical. Uh, as we saw with Ross Perot, because he got to stand on the debate stage and got enough people, behind him to let the debate committee allow him to be on the debate committee. If he gets a candidate that's a third party person, the American Party gets to debate with the Republicans, Democrats, all three, like Ross did, then it could be a problem for all the parties. And they may, through that debate, depends who they pick, could be a player in what happens in the next election. I'm just saying.
Those are excellent observations. I would say one of the similarities he has to Ross Perot, because they're both, wealthy men, both industrious and all that other stuff. But they're both a little nutty. Like that's what sank Perot, is that he actually had excellent ideas, but he was a nut job,
Yes. Yep.
And Miss Mina, yes, he is one smart man. And, I'm not impressed by the fact that Elon Musk is smart, because I think that most of what people attribute as intelligence to him is really just money. Like,
Right.
to be ejected from a wealthy man's testicles does not imbue anybody with anything special, in my opinion. Right? Like he won the genetic lottery. Good for him. I don't begrudge anybody that happens, right? Wealthy people have babies and those babies are wealthy. Okay, so fine. But he he basically never innovated anything except for like the coupling for the charger of the Tesla. That's
Right.
literally the only thing he ever invented, right? So he's an investor who most of his companies amounted to nothing, but because he has enough money to absorb losses, he can just keep investing. And then he had some wins, which is again very similar to Dump. So as a human being, I don't really think there's much special about him. I don't think he's that intelligent. I'm not going to say he's dumb. That would be ridiculous for me to say. I do believe he's intelligent, but I don't think he's compassionate at all. As a matter of fact, he said the biggest weakness of the West is compassion.
Right.
That's what he said, which is just a ridiculous thing to say. And then a couple weeks after that, when Tesla lost like 200 million dollars, or what was it, 200 billion or 300 billion, something like that. Then
It
he
was a
was on
lot.
television crying, and he was like, "Oh, how come you people are making fun of me? I thought you were compassionate people." So like, well, which one is it, Elon? Do you want people to be compassionate only when you're hurting, or do you want people to be compassionate when everybody's hurting? You know what I mean? Like I
Yep.
just think he's full of shit most of the time. He says racist, absurd things all the time. I mean, I almost never log into the various social media sites. I'm still going to call it Twitter. I almost never log in there. I'll post to there, but I almost never log into there. But when I see some of his posts, they're horrendous. One time he said, "My pronouns are prosecute Fauci." What the fuck does that mean? That's just dumb. You know what I mean? See.
Yep. Absolutely. I totally agree on everything you said. I guess the point
Uh,
I was trying to really
yeah.
make is that because he's rich, and I take it my understanding he inherited his initial wealth, part of it anyway, from his family. Kind of like President Donnie Dump.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but Donnie Dump didn't do anything with it so much. He lost most of it. And then, where Elon really hasn't lost a lot of it. He has gained some because of SpaceX and Tesla and stuff, but he manages his money better than obviously Donnie Dump does. That's the
Yeah,
point I'm trying to
at
make.
most of the time that's true. Miss Mina, I invited you up, not because I think you have anything to contribute to the conversation, but just because it's easier than reading the dumb things that you're saying in the chat. I'd rather hear the dumb things directly, but my guess is that you're going to
Right.
make an excuse for why you can't come up. That's usually what they do. Like lately, I invite up like, sometimes 5 MAGA hats in a night, and none of them will take the bait.
It's really
None of them.
weird. They're more angry than anyone right now. And they're not
Yeah,
even they haven't even felt the impacts of the cuts that just happened.
yeah.
They think, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm in whatever state they're in," but Ohio State Sunshine Insurance is also Medicaid. So when that comes into effect in the next maybe a year or 6 months to a year, then they'll start to realize like, "Oh crap." Like do the research. It's
But
not
they're
us.
going to blame the Democrats somehow. I guarantee you,
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah,
that's
especially with
that's what
midterms.
they do. The because like we said last night, the genius of the big bill is that it's not rolling out all at once. The tax cuts are going into effect immediately because that's just an extension of what already exists, but they're slowly rolling out the worst parts of the bill so that they coincide or so
with
that they
the
land
election.
right after the midterms, and then the worst of it supposedly is in at the end of 2028, so that if there is another election, which I'm not convinced that there's going to be, and if the winner of that election is a Democrat, then they can say, oh, look at all the horrible stuff that's going on and you just voted for a Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Mina says, I never take the invites, don't have the followers, nor do I want any. I delete them all. All right,
No,
that's
no
a
games
good
up.
excuse, but what's going to happen now is that you are going to be muted for the rest of the live because you're a chicken shit. So, and
I was gonna say it
Yeah.
a little bit more politely, but
I
that's
don't
why
allow I
I
don't allow chicken shits to squawk in the chat.
if you can't
Cluck, cluck, cluck,
articulate
cluck, cluck.
diplomatically your side, I just struggle following it. And if you haven't done your research, I struggle following it. And people shoot these words out sometimes, like and it's like, what is your background on that? Convince me, please. And if it's real, I'll probably take it into consideration. But it's empty. It's completely empty.
Well, it's like the song goes, it was just my imagination once again running away with me. That's what they mostly offer, like they MAGA hats are a very interesting cult. They're typical of cults in many, many ways. But what I see most of all is that they live on cortisol, because they're just angry all the time, even when their lives are okay. Even when things are okay, they're just angry, and there are some people that are anger junkies. They just they don't know any way to be except angry, and they look for reasons to be angry. I'm on the extreme opposite end. I'm always looking for reasons to be peaceful because the stuff that makes me angry is going to be there. I don't need to manufacture it. I don't need to look for it. Man's inhumanity to man makes me upset. Governments that are oppressive and fascist, that makes me upset. But I manage those pretty well. But these people, without any provocation, just wake up fucking angry. And like the Tea Party is a great example of this. The Tea Party was formed ostensibly as a party fighting taxes, and they formed in a year where taxes were at a 60-year low. So I'm like, what are you doing? Your whole point is nullified. Like, but they just had to be angry. Yes,
I mean,
Jenna makes a great point. They are just big bullies. Yeah. And bullies, because I have experience with bullies. And bullies don't do well with me. Because when I was little, I was raised in Washington Heights, New York City. So you weren't allowed to be bullied in Washington Heights because that would be the end of everything. So when bullies came at me, I swung at them, and that's how I've dealt with bullies my whole life. Right or wrong, good or bad, I'm not even going to worry about it. It worked for me. When bullies came at me, I came at them twice as hard, and that was the way I rid myself of bullies. Right.
It's
Whatever
interesting you say
people
that.
want to do that works for them, that's fine, but that's what worked for me.
I feel
I
like it.
shared earlier a video on Spokane was having a protest. The Eastern Washington, pretty good sized town. And Seattle had one today too. And in Spokane, the police tear gassed the protesters in the crowd and was shooting projectiles of rubber projectiles at the crowd members. Now they call it non-lethal projectiles, but I can tell you from experience, it all depends on where the projectile hits.
Yeah, they
Hmm.
they are
Because
meant
that
to be
project
non-lethal, but they can be lethal.
That's right. If they are not careful and they hit one of those protesters in the head, especially close to the temple, it's not lights out. It's murder after
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I just wanted to make everybody aware that even in a small town in Washington State, of Spokane is considered a small town, but big on that side of the mountain. That's what's going on today in Spokane. I shared it earlier.
Wow,
Hmm.
wow. Blue, you started saying something earlier.
I just
I'm
that's
sorry.
no. Oh, Danny,
Oh, it's
please.
no worries. Sometimes people start talking at the same time. It happens.
I actually respected what he said there, and he's right. And it's for myself. I had three sisters, and we'd be fighting to blow dryer wars in the morning. And the second we stepped out of our door, it became us versus the world, and it was no one. We were just kind of ingrained in an Italian way, which, by the way, Italians weren't respected for many, many years in America. Hence why it came together as the mafia and what it is and was when it was. But it was because we were also slaves in a sense. Actually, well, we were. But there's something to be said for when you see someone being hurt and there's a feeling in you that this is wrong. I don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable. And Einstein himself said, you're just as guilty if you watch it happen and you don't say or do anything about it. And that's to me a moral code. That's a code. I don't know if it's you're born with it or it's learned or what. And I would like to say it's innate in you, maybe evolved even. I don't know, but I don't understand how people, like, if I see someone who was bullied or I was bullied, I became a warrior. But someone who might not have that instinct, how do you not have heart and passion and not care for that and allow that to happen? I
Right.
would rather die than to watch somebody get bullied. And it's actually become my vice where I'm overreactive and not letting someone defend themselves even, and that's disrespectful. So I have to almost sit back, let them kind of almost give a cue, a certain cue for me to be able to think like I can step in. If not, I could be almost insulting them. And that's kind of my newer lesson is like people need to learn to stand up for themselves, but at the same respect, it's really difficult for me because I don't even want to, like, I want to cut it before it starts. And I can see it coming with the signs and I have zero tolerance for it. So it's an interesting topic.
Yeah. Um, you got me thinking about parents and children because anyone who has ever raised a child has the unenviable task of watching their child fail over and over and over again as they attempt to do things, especially walking. Walking is, I think, a universal example. We understand that their failures are building blocks. So when they fall, we don't go, well, that's that. I'm holding you from now on. You're not going to fall ever again, right? Um, of course, if they're doing what children do and heading for the outlet or heading for the sharp scissors or heading for the fan or the thousand other things that they do to try to end themselves, we understand we have to stop that. right? But we also seem to understand that we have to let them struggle a little bit. And I happen to think that that's innate wisdom, because when I look at the universe as a whole, I see that the theme that runs through it is struggle. The universe was caused by great struggle, which is the Big Bang, right? Stars colliding, planets colliding, black holes, all these things are forms of struggle. For a plant to grow, it has to break through the soil. And if it doesn't, it just goes away. For most animals, they're born through some kind of struggle. I mean, look at the human animal and the crime scene that is the birthing room. That is some violent shit going on in there. I saw my son come into the world. Luckily, I was smart. I stood by my wife's head rather than the business end, because I didn't want to see that horror. But that was some violent struggle just to be born. Same thing with a chick trying
Wow.
to get out of a shell. From what I understand, I've read this a few times, so I believe it's true. If someone tries to help that chick out of the shell, that chick doesn't make it, because that process of struggle for getting out of the shell is what makes that chick strong enough to survive the elements and life and all that stuff. So, yes, on the one hand, if there's someone that is being picked on, I want to encourage them to fend for themselves. But if they're succumbing to the pressure and the bullying, then that's when I step in and go, okay, enough's enough. And I don't know what the dividing line is. I think it's very circumstantial and specific to the instance, but that's my overall philosophy about it. Like, it's going to happen. Struggle's going to happen. My son went through it. We all went through it. My brother came to my aid one time, and when I was living in Elmhurst, Queens. My brother's 5 years older than me, and so I was like 7 or 8 at the time. And he heard that some of the neighborhood children were messing with me, and he took the 3-hour train ride from Washington Heights to Elmhurst, Queens. And he told those guys, you touch my brother again, and it's going to be a problem. And my brother meant it, brought my cousin along, who's an ill-tempered dude. And so they scared the bejesus out of those people, and they didn't bother me again. Hey, Darlene, what's going on? So, you know, we, we, we have to, and America is another example. America has struggled over and over again. Unfortunately, it doesn't learn the lessons of its past, but these moments, these eras of struggle usually produce growth on the other end, but there's no guarantee, right? There's no guarantee that at the other end of this, something good is going to come out of it, because at the other end of this, something much worse might emerge. That's just the roll of the dice that we all take if we choose to live here.
Do you ever think that there's like a section of people between the extremes of a bully and an innocent person being bullied for whatever purpose of the intent of the bully? And there's this kind of crowd in the middle where half of them feel the empathy towards the one being bullied, and half of them feel, well, if I side with the bully, he won't bully me. Is that a scenario that you think might be happening right now, but almost from a financial degree? Like, it's like, well, they all have money, so I'm going to overlook humanity, these peasants, which is the majority of us, by the way, on
Hmm.
this live. Or, and then that creates that wealth poverty gap even further, and then empowers the wealthy even more. And when you start taking away food and shelter and the basic necessities for humanity, that's when you're going to see crime happen, because the bullying no longer is between us versus the wealthy. It's between us versus our neighbor, fighting over that piece of bread. That I think we talked about that in the
Hmm.
last live.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I'll give you a great example to exemplify what you just said. which was definitely spot on. Right now, Dump is bullying the broadcasters, right? Because his FCC chair is a sycophant, and that's not my opinion. The guy literally wore a gold dump head on his lapel, and there are some news stations that are capitulating rather than fight because they know that Dump and the FCC can stop mergers or take away their license. So they'd rather go along and let the bully have his way so that they won't be bullied worse, right? And there are some who are saying, no, we're standing up. Like, I think Harvard is one of them. I think some other school is suing them too. So, that archetype absolutely exists. Those are strategic decisions that people make for the sake of their survival. And we might or might not agree with some of the decisions. Like, I think it's shameful that ABC paid this dude $15 million just because George Stephanopoulos told the truth. Because he did tell the truth. George Stephanopoulos quoted the judge in the E. Jean Carroll case who said what Dump did was grape. The laws at the time in New York, which have since been changed, precluded him from being labeled as literally someone who committed grape, but the action, the physical action that he did, that he also bragged about, right? Grab him by the pussy. That he was talking about E. Jean Carroll and probably the legion of other women he has allegedly done that to, right? And, even with that, even with the fact that all George Stephanopoulos was doing was repeating what the judge wrote in his order for public consumption, they were like, well, instead of fighting this and causing trouble for ourselves, we're just going to pay this clown $15 million. Now, that is a drop in the bucket for an organization like ABC. It's almost meaningless. In their world, that's like a rounding error. Okay. But the message that sends is the thing that concerns me. And the precedent that it establishes also concerns me because we see that other broadcasters have decided to capitulate, and it's just straight up mafia type bullying. Like, I have leverage over you, which is why, to Danny's point earlier, that Musk probably isn't going anywhere, because we know, since he's the guy with the information, chances are he has leverage over Donnie Dump. But I'm getting tangential again, which I usually do. So,
Some people might
Blue,
look
you
at
said
you.
you still cringe equally today. I'm guessing that's the grab 'em comment.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
still
yeah,
gets,
yeah,
they
yes.
say like you're overexposed to it, then you get numb to it. And I'm pretty much numb to things, and I am rubber in that sense. But that those couple things he says, man, it does not get old. It rings me so
Yeah.
deeply. And maybe it's a good thing because it makes me want to fight harder, for women and that level of disrespect, in a sense, if you want to speak of the terms of yin yang and Hinduism. But at the end of the day, it's just, you want a leader that is calm and diplomatic, and much like how you are. You could get firecrackers on here, and I could be a firecracker myself. I'm Italian. But you maintain a consistent level of this control where one side might be crazy, one side might be crazy, but you maintain that level right in the center, and it's admirable. And I will say, I envy that, and I work towards that. I actively work towards that. And when you have a leader in a presidential role who is like, let's say Obama, you could like him or hate him, but he got a lot less hate because he did maintain this level of calm.
Yeah.
When you have a leader that freaks out and starts like saying F you and creating all these penalties to states that didn't vote him, that's when you start going into that authoritarian range of the field. And that's very dangerous because even if you are one side, when you become that leader, you still have to have that gift of perception, and being able to put yourself in the eyes of someone else and saying, how can I make this more comfortable for them? Even though we disagree, I don't want to stir their hearts and souls up. I want them to feel at least safe. And right now, the way the country is, I don't feel safe. And
Yeah.
that's alarming when
Yeah.
when laws are put into place to go after blue states. Like, that's weird. No
Yeah.
Democrat or independent, which is more my line of, I don't like to associate with one side or the other, but I just tend to, human rights wise, tend towards to be democratic. And it's like that I actually feel fear because our leader is unhinged, and that's not a good quality or level of control in how you articulate your message. And that causes a lot of fear, even on both sides. And that's why people are very angry, down to the root of your driving around. And we're flipping each other off because we're so angry and freaked out because the person that we're supposed to rely on to make these decisions and have control is a wacko, out of
Yeah.
complete, it's out of control.
Yeah.
And that's alarming.
It is. Traditional and old school said something that I really don't understand the point of saying this. Kamala is married to a YT man and have 2 YT kids. What is the point of even saying that? I don't get that.
Aren't they a blended family?
Yeah,
Meaning,
it's his children. She,
yeah,
she's their stepmother, but what is the point of even saying that? That's a weird thing to say.
right?
I'm guessing that's a bot or something, because that's a really ridiculous thing to just say out of nowhere. Oh man. But yeah, the human beings tend to operate all in the same way. And one of the things that we need, are the first thing that human beings need, is certainty. And in small ways and in big ways, like you want to know that when you leave your dwelling in the morning to go to work, that your dwelling is going to be there when you come back, right? Sounds simple, but that certainty is comforting. Hi, Vicky. How you doing? I'll invite you up if you like to come up. And we the one of the stressors that we're having in America today is all of the uncertainty. Vicky, how you doing?
I'm good. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Vicky.
Hi, Blue Love. Hi, Danny.
So we're tangentially speaking about politics, but since it's Saturday Chill, we're more talking about human beings and how they react to certain things. And I was just talking about the idea that the toll that the uncertainty in American society is taking on people. Because right now, all of the stats regarding depression and self-deletion and pharmaceuticals that address stress and depression and that kind of stuff, they're all through the roof. And I think part of it is because we have a sociopath running the country, or really not running the country, but just stealing hand over fist from the treasury and from the good people of this country. And, people don't know what's going to happen to their benefits. They don't know what's going to happen to their job. They don't know what's going to happen to America in the short or the long term. So it's a very stressful time. We've been talking about how to cope with that, how to manage that. But take any part of that you wish, or nothing at all, and talk about something else, Vicky. Whatever you'd like to do right now.
While we
You
had a
know,
pause here, let me do a PSA. Please keep tapping the screen, sharing out this live. Hit Yoda's daily heartbeat at the top if you haven't yet. And we
Oh,
have 30 roses left of the 100 that need to be taken care of, a coin apiece. So if you would, please show some love and take care of those roses. And hold your finger on Yoda's nose and bring up your friends list, and then you can knock out about 30 friends. You can share it to all your friends, and let's get some more people in here. And if you enjoy what you're seeing and hearing today, please share some love to the fabulous panelists. They're up here. They're not getting paid. We're just enjoying ourselves. And if you have any questions that you want to talk about, please enter it in the chat, and I'm sure Yoda or one of us on the panel will address it. Thank you.
so thank you, Danny. I appreciate that. Piff, Master of Disaster, so we can already tell he's an inadequate male, says, how far along is the host into their transition? Why don't you come and find out? You want to check my oil? Is that what you're saying? You're secretly attracted to me? Is that what you're saying? You know, come and find out what phase I'm in. And good luck to you. I wish you the best.
And
I
Vicky, I'm
get so
sorry I
tired of these
interrupted your
people.
starting comment. So
Oh, that's
sorry.
okay. Oh no, I was just gonna just I'm chill. I've been chilling today, and it's really sad. We had another person kidnapped, for lack of a better term, today in our local community, and a lot of people were going to go to the county jail where they're held and try to create a human chain to stop them from being taken to Louisiana.
Oh, well.
And I don't think that that would work because you can only stop them for so long.
What that tells me is what I've been saying all along. It's part of the conversation that I had with my second ex-wife this afternoon. You can only put your boot on people's necks for so long. The people are going to rebel. Now, rebellions don't normally succeed, but sometimes they do. But whether they succeed or not, what we know is that there's going to be damage done. People are going to get hurt because of what this government is doing. The fact that now ICE is the largest law enforcement agency in America is terrifying, because they're going to now act with impunity more so than they did before. I think they're going to ratchet up the cruelty just because it's a cruel establishment to begin with. And now, because they've been given the green light by this tyrant, I think things are going to get much worse. And I think that what we're about to see is more of what you just described. People standing up and saying, no, you can't do this, and no, we won't let you. And as beautiful as that is, because I love to see people being heroic and protecting their fellow human beings, there's going to be a price to pay for it, and I hope it's not as bad as it could get, but it's going to get bad.
Yeah, and what was really bad about this one is these guys didn't even bother to wear the masks. So they were, loud and proud, so they don't even care.
Like I said,
They just
emboldened.
look like, yep, they just look like everyday rednecks going into a Hispanic grocery store.
Yes,
You
and
know,
Blue has pointed out in the chat that ICE is being funded by our tax dollars. That is 100% correct. And
I wrote my comment, and I figured if anybody new came in might read that wrong, so I reiterated what I'd meant. Our tax dollars, this is what the majority vote apparently went towards, and we're being cut in places where Medicaid, $20 million of children's lunches, like, what are they going to eat? Also, that these group of men, maybe women, are in masks to shift out immigrants in line to become legal people in America, which is our right, and at the cost of, it's just incredibly disturbing. And it makes me wonder, the evolved human has a way to speak on things of, hey, let's reason about this. Let's meet somewhere in the middle. But what's happened is they've silenced the reason and have empowered the non-reason, the ones that don't have the ability to reason with humans and just act on violence and chaos. And that's a very scary moment in time. And I empathize very much with Vicky because I can only protect against certain bullies. But when the majority, or it shifts to what we talked about earlier, where people start taking the side of what they fear and we become the minority, we're going back like 40 years in time, and that's incredibly scary to me. And we're going to see it much more often, to the point where it becomes more normalized. And what's it going to take to get somebody who can reason through a conversation with somebody who's not reasonable? It's going to eventually break us to where we become violent. And I don't know if we, and I say we as independent and maybe more on the democratic side of humanity, that freaks me out. And that's where I start looking towards people like Yoddah and this live, or Danny, or veterans. Like, guys, I'm not versed in this kind of behavior. I'm not trained to be a military person. I'm a fighter and I'm an alpha female, but at the end of the day, I don't have that knowledge. I don't have that education. And if someone, I just start to feel really worried and very not safe. And I said that earlier, and I'm going to keep saying that. And that's not a good place to be in this country right now.
Michael Marlene said something right before we get to WKRP, but Michael said, how can any government open its border to millions of people and expect that government to support them? Then, well, he said then, but I'm sure he means them. There you go. Well, see, your question has a somewhat faulty presupposition in it, Michael. Maybe two. America didn't open up its borders to millions of people. It has a border, and people come here because they believe the hype about America, the hype that we know isn't true, but America is very good at marketing itself and spreading propaganda about the greatest country in the world without any evidence to support that claim. But people hear that, and when they're in trouble, they come here. And the thing is that the government doesn't have to support the people that come here. They do a great job of supporting themselves. And if you look at the numbers and don't just believe the propaganda coming out of the mouth of Daddy Dump, you'll understand that immigration is a net positive. They bring in way more money than it spends, than it costs to process them. That's just a fact. And we can debate a bunch of things, but we're not going to debate facts today. WKRP, how you doing, my friend? WKRP.
Hey, how you doing, Yoddah?
I'm doing
Hey,
good.
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, my
okay.
reception's kind of off. So
Yeah,
that's why
I
I'm
know.
just
You
saying,
don't
make
even have
sure
to
you
say
hear
that anymore, bro. It's always off.
me. How's everybody on the panel?
I'm
Doing
doing good
well.
there, WKRP.
That's good. That's good,
So
man. What's the
WKRP,
topic tonight,
as you
Yoddah?
know, it's a Saturday chill, but we're going all over the place. There's no set topic. We're talking about humanity. We're talking about governments. We're talking about Donnie Dump because, we gotta. And I'll tell you what, I'll start you off kind of the way everybody started off. Since it's Saturday
Okay.
chill, what do you do to maintain the very positive attitude that you have, to avoid falling into a pit of despair when you see the terrible things that are happening, to avoid being angry, to avoid all the negative shit? What are your strategies? And you can be as elaborate as you want.
Look at my one thing I do is look at my kids, my babies, and that
Mm,
motivates me because I love them and their future. And I just try to drain out the daily woes of life. Like I told you, I texted you earlier about, man, if I have to listen to some great music or something that should get me going, just let me know it's going to be all right. Just block out what's going on. You know, just take out time to just do something pleasant for me. And like I said, with the kids or something like, just something just different, to get me motivated and not to linger and just have anxiety and stress because of what's going on. That's what I do, man.
I love it. Before we continue, because I have a follow-up question for you. We have 30 people in here, and after an hour, only 13,000 likes. So I know you guys are into the conversation and you forget to tap the screen, but I need you to keep tapping that screen so that we can let TikTok know that people appreciate this content. My panel is giving us gold. And so, be thankful for the panel, be thankful for the live. I'll do what I can to keep you guys entertained and interested. But my follow-up question to you is this. Because Blue earlier was sort of talking about rituals that help her get through her life. I have some rituals in terms of what I do when I first get up in the morning and what I do at night, what I do throughout the day, some mental hooks that I
Yeah.
use, some chants and, things like that I use. Anything specific that you do that you would say is like every day, this is definitely something that you do that is going to produce a positive effect?
First thing I do is try to get up and I pray. Thank God to see another day. I read a scripture occasionally if I can, if my kids allow me to. But then I go into my realm of just being prepared, doing stuff that I like to do, like preparing for different shows and different things which I'm working on now to come back and because I like that. That's my world.
Mm,
Like you joke on me about the entertainment. You don't know too much, you know what I'm saying? How, but that's what
right.
I do, man. Reach out to certain different people, individuals. Uh, that sorry about that. It's my son. He
No, don't
hollering. Hold
worry
on one
about it.
second. But reach out to different individuals. We're talking. It turns my day. It
Sure.
brings me out of my what I call real life thing. I go into my virtual world. Hold on. Now he wants to echo. I'm so sorry.
No
Yoda,
worries.
let
No
me
worries.
go in.
Go ahead. Put
Hold
yourself
on one
on
second.
mute
One
and
second.
we'll wait for you. But I love what he's saying because what he's talking about is both internal and external rituals that he has that assure that he remains balanced. Anybody else have thoughts about that?
I found this mantra, and it's not one that I will repeat because it's just something that I internalize, but I do say it, and it's something that brings me a little bit of hope and peace. And then I do try to do a little bit of meditation, although it doesn't always work because I have pretty bad ADD and my brain tends to go squirrel in the middle of it. And, it's funny. At work, we have to do these, like 8 hours of continuing ed. And so we can pick whatever we want. And I picked this webinar on, like, relaxing and stuff. And they were doing a mindfulness meditation, and they were trying to get you to picture your perfect place where and I got so focused on trying to find the perfect place that I stressed myself out and I started crying. And it was like, when in reality, my perfect
I
place is right
understand.
here on my bed
Obviously, I'm
with
not
my
laughing at the
dogs.
fact that you were crying. I'm laughing at the mechanism that
Yeah, I
got you there
know.
because I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, my perfect place in reality is sitting here on my bed with my dogs, just hanging out. But, I was trying to visualize, a cottage or a little cabin by a lake with the woods and the rocking chair. And oh, I overdid it.
Well,
So it
whoever
was, it was
whoever came up
stressful.
with that exercise, I would have to criticize them for using the word perfect, because perfection is unattainable. So there's a built-in flaw in that exercise. I would simply say, what's your happy place? Find your happy place, because that's easy. That's easy to figure out, and that doesn't have that ominous "it has to be perfect" vibe over it. Because I could tell you what my happy place is. I have two, but I'm only going to talk about one. Because, like you, I don't share my mantra normally, and I don't know why exactly. It just feels like it's something I'd prefer to keep private. But my happy place is a hammock next to a lagoon outside of the main restaurant on the island of Bora Bora. It was a place where I spent 2 weeks. Oh no, was it 2 weeks, or I'm trying to think how long we stayed at Bora Bora? It was a week in Bora Bora. Yeah. So okay, yeah, a week in Bora Bora, a week in Mo'ore, and then 3 days in Tahiti. So in Bora Bora, which is like stunningly beautiful. It was horrifying getting there. It was 32 days after 9/11 when I got married. So travel was very difficult. But um, when we saw it from the air as we were approaching, it was just the most beautiful thing my wife and I had ever seen, outside of, for me, the birth of my son. But um, there's a hammock strung between two palm trees right next to this beautiful lagoon, right outside the main restaurant of Bora. Because the way Bora Bora works, just so you can have a visual, it's a collapsed volcano. So the main island is in the center, and it's surrounded by a coral reef. And in between the coral reef and the main island is a body of water that only takes 5 minutes to cross. And most of the islands are on the coral. Most of the islands, sorry, most of the hotels are on the coral reef. And we were staying at one of the hotels on the reef, and they had a main restaurant, and this lagoon was just absolutely beautiful. And so whenever I want to go to my happy place, I just think of that hammock. And the reason it's my happy place, aside from the surroundings, which were absolutely stunning and still the most beautiful place I've ever seen, um, I remember that there was no thought in my head for a few seconds, which is valuable real estate, right? Since our minds are always racing. But the only thought I had in my head was, how do I get this thing swaying side to side, right? And then I successfully figured that out. And that forevermore will be my happy place. So anybody else have stuff like that they think of? What's your happy place, or do you even have one?
Yeah, I do have one.
Go ahead, Danny.
My happy place is being with my wife, Carol. I couldn't think of a better friend and loved one that I've had in my lifetime. I I do have a time when I wish that she'd have seen Santorini, Greece. It's an island, small island out there in the Med. I wish she'd have seen that. That was a beautiful place. I was stationed in Athens after I had my heart attack and I came back from the hospital and I back in my apartment. I took the trip over to Santorini and I just looked out on that blue water and it was peaceful. And one of the first songs I played when I was in that little room that I had there was a song that I had recorded called "One Pair of Hands," and it's done by Carol Robertson. And it's a beautiful song, and every word that was in that song said that that one pair of hands made all of this, and it
Mm,
was beautiful, and it brought me
nice.
to tears. And then I got kind of what they call sentimental, and I played a song called "Danny Boy,"
Ah,
and that brought me to tears because my mom used to sing that to me when I was a little boy, when I was a baby, and when she passed away, I sang it at her funeral. I couldn't do it in person, so I had to go to a studio and record it.
oh, wow.
But it meant a lot to me, and those are two songs that I plan on playing at my last service, and it's very special to me. So if you've never heard the song "One Pair of Hands" by Carol Roberts, I encourage you to listen to it. He has a wonderful voice, and if you haven't heard the version of "Danny Boy" by Ray Price, that'll bring you to tears too. That is a beautiful song. But that's my happy place. Carol, being with her, waking up in the morning. When I get blue, I have something to look forward to every day because she's still there with me, and that's my happy place.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And you said it was Carol Robertson, right?
Yes, Carol
Okay.
Robertson. Yep.
Got it. I found it on YouTube. I'm going to play it after this. So thank you
And
for
the
that
other one was
recommendation.
Danny Boy by Ray Price. That's another
Yeah.
beautiful version of the song.
I got to tell you, I've rarely heard a bad version of that song. People who cover it, they tend to understand the emotional aspect of the song and it comes through whoever's singing it, but I'll definitely check out Ray Price. I used to like Ray Price. Um so anybody else? Happy Place. Let's keep it rolling.
That's hard to follow right there.
I brought
That was
Richard
so
up
good.
and he disappeared. So I don't know what happened to Richard, but thank you for being here, Richard. By the way, folks, I'm at 89 of 100 roses for my live goal. So if anyone's feeling generous and wants to knock off those last 11, that would be spectacular. So, I'll look at it. You look at you guys getting to work. I love it. You people are amazing. I feel so grateful right now. And someone mentioned gratitude earlier. I think it was Darlene. Um, Thank you. Thank you. You people are spectacular. Yeah, Darlene mentioned the idea of how important gratitude is, and I am right there. But Blue, you had started saying it's hard to follow, but you must have something.
Well, I mean, when I wake up every morning, instead of jumping out of bed, I do have my mantra, and it's gotten me through some really hard things because it reminds me from the moment I wake up and I do the same mantra, and I'm not ready to share it either. It's something I created, and I don't need anybody to knock that down. And that's why it's my private mantra. And Danny just kind of nailed it on the head. Like, where's your happy place? Oh, it just it if that makes my heart pulse, that to me is God right now, right here. The way that other people define God as this thing that they worship outside of them. But those moments, if I were to come up with a comparison of what I think they mean when they say that about God, that's how I define it, is in those moments that Danny just described with his wife. Like,
Yeah,
that is real to me. That is raw, it's emotional. And when you feel those emotional spikes and those highs and those lows, those real ones that make emotion come out of your eyes and tears come out of your eyes, like, that's empathy. That to me is a physical reaction to something in you powerful than anything else. And I can't really say my thing right now because of what I'm working through, but I'm impressed by your answer and also Danny's answer. And I will say that there, and also what Vicky said, that there's something to be said about the fact that physical body and then what you think. If you imagine yourself walking to your fridge, opening up that door and grabbing a lemon, and you take that cold lemon and you bring it out and you put it on your countertop and you take a knife and you cut into it, it spurts out all this juice and you can smell the citrus. And then you grab it and you squeeze it and you put it on you squeeze it right on your tongue and you get that tangy feeling. Right now, if you were to imagine that, is that thought creating your tongue to water? It is for
More than
me.
likely. Yeah.
So if your thought can create a physical reaction to the lemon and your tongue is watering, or Sour Patch Kids, just the thought of it makes my tongue water.
Right.
Literally, if your thought can do that to you physically, kind of what Vicky was saying, how much can your thoughts really influence your physical being? If you think of that lemon analogy, think about it and your tongue starts to
Oh,
water.
there's a direct connection. I mean,
Yeah.
if anybody's debating the mind-body connection at this late stage of the game, they're insane, in my opinion.
We gotta
There's a
repeat
direct
it to the
connection.
younger folks who are going to struggle, who
Yeah,
need that knowledge from us. So there you
absolutely.
go. I'll
So
repeat it.
I will add to what everyone's saying, because ultimately, I think the only currency that matters at all, at least to me, is human currency. And like, you know, the fact that my second ex-wife and I are best friends is really important to me. I love her more than any other woman I've ever known, and am completely devoted to her in many ways. And one of the ways men express their love is by trying to let you know that you're going to be okay. If we care about you, we're going to do everything that we can so that you're okay. We don't always come out and say it, although I do. We end every conversation by saying I love you, which is kind of cute. But, when we don't express the words I love you, pay attention to what we're doing. Are we making sure that you're okay? If we are, that means we love you. And one of the things that I told her, because she was expressing some what I think is very reasonable fear about the future of America. And I reminded her that she's surrounded by people, myself included, that will make sure that she's always okay. And how lucky are any of us, to have people in our lives that care about us. Like, my friends have come to my rescue, and I mean literally. When I've been stuck on a highway, because my car just fell to pieces, or I couldn't make rent, or I needed a ride to the airport, or whatever the fuck it was, or I needed to ramble on for 2 hours on the phone. From all the small ways to all the big ways, the people in my life are beautiful, loving, caring people. And I think that if I were to go broke financially, which is certainly possible because I've been broke most of my life, but if things were to really get bad for me, I know that I have a safety net. I know my friends would take care of me. I've had so many people, and well, I say so many people. I have this small group of people that they've literally said to me, "Hey, my couch is available to you if you need it. If it ever gets that bad, you have a roof over your head." And that's an astonishing thing. And I feel so sad for anyone that doesn't have that level of comfort and confidence that they're always going to be okay. And going through life alone is a rough thing. And knowing that like the song says, you'll never walk alone, man. That makes me feel like the wealthiest man on the planet.
That is a wonderful thought. I have a hard time asking for help when I need it. It's like I am putting off having knee replacement surgery because, well, it doesn't hurt that bad yet. But the whole thought of being not able to drive myself anywhere, and my son doesn't drive, so I would be wholly dependent on asking friends to take me to therapy, to take me to the hospital, to bring me home. I mean, I have such a hard time asking for help. And it's soul crushing to me.
Well, So if I were coaching you right now, I'd make some kind of joke like, get the fuck over it. Right? But when we delve into that, there could be a lot of reasons that inform that feeling that you have of not wanting to have help. And we're not going to get into it now, but I would encourage you to think about how many people you've helped in your life. And if you have a number of people that's greater than one, or that's even one or greater, then I'd say you deserve to ask for help and to get that help if you need it. You know, I mean, there are shitty people out there. I know, because I used to be one of them. And maybe those shitty people don't deserve any kind of grace or help or comfort or anything. But if you're a halfway decent person, I think you do. I think you do deserve to have people who care enough about you to help you, that people that not only will they help you, but they will be happy to help you because of who you are, because who you've been to them. And I only know this because, again, I've had these conversations with my friends. You know, like they want to help me because of who I am as a person. And that's the only way I know that I'm a good person, is because of the people in my life. Because my friends are so wonderful and beautiful and supportive and kind and loving and caring that for them to accept me as their friend must mean something about me. You know, I only know I'm a good father because my son told me that I'm a good father. So if you have that dynamic working in your life, where there are people who care about you and want you to be okay, then I'm going to go ahead and give you something that you don't need from me. You need it from yourself, but that is permission to accept help from other people and be okay with it.
I know.
That was
It's
awesome.
it's one of those things that I'm gonna have to get over it and pull up my big girl panties, and whenever the time when my knee gets bad enough. I have a lot of friends that have told me, just call me. When I get sick,
There
they'll
you go.
say, well, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
You know.
And let me tell you something. Nobody offers that unless they mean it. You know, like, because that's a serious thing. Like helping someone through their recovery period, that's a serious commitment to another human being. Nobody offers that frivolously. Nobody offers that who does not intend to fulfill what you're asking. So you obviously you have people in your life that care about you, and what that tells me is that you have been caring and loving to them, which is why they feel the same way toward you.
Yeah, I do have some wonderful people in my life. It's just I was part of a very abusive relationship for a long time, and it's hard to feel worthy now, but I'm getting there.
Yeah,
A
and
lot of
here's
therapy.
here's the beauty of that. There's this book that I read back in, I want to say 1990 or so, called Emmanuel's Book 2, The Choice for Love. Now, you don't have to necessarily buy into the premise of the book. Emmanuel is a spirit that this woman, Pat Rodegast, tapped into, and she would channel this spirit. But even if you don't accept that, it doesn't matter. The things that were written in the book, whether it was Pat's voice or Emmanuel's voice, doesn't really interest me. What interests me is the content of the book. And one of the things that they talked about was how human beings create monsters in their heads. They create this narrative, which they refer to as a monster, right? This monster that points down at you and says, "You're a piece of shit. You're not worthy. Who are you to think that blah blah blah," right? But they forget that they created the monster, and they become afraid of the monster, when all the while they can get rid of the monster anytime they wanted it because they created it. Right? And so this narrative that you have in your brain is just a product of habit. You've been habitually carrying this narrative with you for however many years or decades or whatever, But you can change the narrative anytime you want. You don't need anybody's permission. You don't need to be a different person. You can just decide that you don't need this narrative. But the important thing is that nature does not accept vacuums. So you just can't get rid of the negative stuff. You have to replace it with something positive. So you gotta change out the negative narrative, which by the way is not the truth. The negative narrative is a lie. It's a lie that you just believe, but it's still a lie. So what you can do is just be real about what the truth is about yourself and use that as the narrative instead. Does that make sense?
Yes. And what Blue said about, if the monster is created by a common denominator of a bad reaction to your good actions, it causes isolation. I have isolated myself a good bit of my life, and it's only been in the past few years, or really probably the past 18 months, that I have really started to put myself back out there. And you guys, I mean, Danny has been so wonderful, and you've been wonderful. And I got active in some local groups that are helping me realize I have a voice and a purpose. And so it does help.
Yeah.
And so I know that there are people that care about me, and it's just, it's hard when you reach a certain age and you feel invisible,
That's a
you know.
narrative also. That all, this is the work that I've been doing for 38 years. The easiest voice for us to believe is our own. Why wouldn't you trust your own voice? It's you talking to you, right? But
Yeah.
but it's very instructive to ask, is that true? Or a better question. This is actually the question that I started asking myself in when did I get into the support group? 1989. I got into a support group, non-clinical. It was just a group of people that met on a weekly basis to support each other through life. And they taught me a question that I still use to this day. Whenever I have a thought that's negative or unproductive or cruel or whatever, I ask myself, what else is possible? Because there's always another possibility. There's always another way to look at something. So just because the thought came into your head doesn't mean you have to believe it. Doesn't mean you have to accept it. Doesn't mean you can't reject it and replace it with another thought. So if you get into the habit of asking yourself, what else is possible right now? You will find the other possibility. Like if I make a mistake and in my head, I'm talking to me saying, you fucking idiot. I go, what else is possible here? You just made a mistake. Or not knowing something is no big deal, or doing something wrong is no big deal, whatever it is. Because here's something that I say literally to every coaching client that I've ever had and ever will have. You're going to make up shit anyway. Why not make up shit that works for you? Right? You're going to always have the narrative. It's always there. It's part of the human condition. We are the narrators of our own lives, right? So since you're going to make something up anyway, why not make up something that works for you?
Good idea. Thank you, Yoddah.
My pleasure. It's helped me tremendously. I mean, my growth over the last 38 years has just been, and it's September 3rd is actually 38 years, but my growth in this time, I am unrecognizable emotionally and mentally and even in
Oh yeah.
temperament to the guy that I was when I was 23 years old. And some of that might be the natural aging process, but I don't know, because there are people that are the same at 60 as they were at 20. So, like Muhammad Ali said, that's a waste of 40 years, right? So I don't think aging is a guarantee to wisdom. I see a lot of old fools out there. We commonly refer to them as the Congress and the Senate, right? So, you know, I think the work that I did made all the difference. The support that I had in that work made all the difference. And all of it was focused around just changing the narrative, because it is so easy to habitually believe the story that you've been telling yourself for most of your life. And it doesn't matter what the circumstances of your past are. It really doesn't. Of course, they mean something. They
Hmm.
impacted you in a certain way, but I have to refer to
Both of
Shakespeare.
you lay down.
There is nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so, right? So that thing that happened to you, that incident, that relationship, that family dynamic, that unfortunate event, whatever it was, the crime, the assault, it doesn't matter what it was. How you hold that inside of you is what makes all the difference. And I actually give people techniques for, like, even someone who has been brutalized. You can take that incident and dramatically minimize the impact that it has on your psyche and on your emotions, and as Blue pointed out earlier, on your body, by certain techniques. So just because you've thought something for a long time, or a set of things for a long time, it doesn't mean that that's the only option that you have. In fact, I absolutely guarantee that there is always another way to think about these things. It's just a habit. It's just a habit. WKRP,
It's
welcome back, my friend.
interesting.
Yeah, go ahead, Vicky. What were you going to say?
When you were saying that, I just kind of had this feeling of just let it go, and I let out this really deep sigh, and it helped. It's there's a lot of scar tissue, but
Yeah,
I don't have to let that be
yeah.
who I am.
Let me quote another author, because I rarely have an original thought, but Hemingway said, "We are stronger in the broken places." And that is literally true. If you break a bone, at the site of the break, when it heals, it is stronger than it was before. And let that be a metaphor for your psyche and your emotions as well. The beautiful thing about all of us that I know for certain is life, whatever it threw at us up until this moment, we survived it. So we are survivors. And some of us have had horrifying things happen to them. And I would never try to diminish those things in any way, shape, or form. But I know that we have an option as to what we want to do with that information moving forward. We can continue to bludgeon ourselves with that stuff, or we can redirect it and change it and create a new narrative, a new story. And that power that we have is absolute. There is nothing and no one that can stop us from organizing our internal life the way we want it to. That was the story of Invictus, that poem that Nelson Mandela used to survive 27 years of incarceration. Basically said, you can imprison my body, but you cannot have my spirit. You can't do anything to my inner world. That's me. That's my province. I'm completely in control of that. And that's the one thing I know in life that is absolutely true. So I think we could all
Beautifully
agree
put.
that I'm an
Awesome.
amazing fucking coach.
Look at you. Look at you. Don't get the big head. Don't get the big.
It's too late. It's too late for that.
You got potential, let's put it that way.
But yeah, this is why I love coaching people, because I had to learn all these things for myself, and luckily I know how to, repackage them for people so that whatever they're going through, I can help them through it. So that's just a glimpse of my new channel, Coach.Yoddah. I'll start sending you all private messages so you can follow me if you choose to. But yeah, I'm going to start talking about this kind of thing because I want people to understand that there's a way through all of this. Because if it's not a sociopath in office, there's going to be other challenges. There's going to be loved ones passing away. There's going to be your own injuries or health issues. We're all humans. We're all um, susceptible to every human experience. That's one of the ways that I contextualized, easy for me to say, my brain tumor in 2012. I never asked why me, because the answer to that question is why the fuck not you? You're a human being. You're a decaying meat sack. This is what happens, you know? So it really is all about how you organize things in your head. That makes all the difference in the world.
I've learned to never say why me and what next.
Same.
Those are two loaded things.
It's kind of a weak, like what a weak, to me, and I hate saying this because there is no human that is weak. A misguided human would say is that exactly those two quotes that you said, and I don't even like to say them out of my mouth even. Like that's just not how I am built. But when you start getting to a point where you fought so much, not just on equality, but I'm talking like on the front of fascism, in the front of racism, on the front of everything, it's like, what can I do in this little itty bitty lifetime of mine? Not for ego, not to feed ego, because I'm really, I've had that ego suicide that happened. But I mean, in a way where I can not be known, but yet help humanity in a way through the experiences and pain that I crawled my ass out by myself with. And I did it, and there's no one I know that has, like, I feel like, in not an egotistical way, I would be your worst patient, Yoda. You would hate me
I doubt it.
because I might, and that's not an ego thing. That's not a challenge. That is not a woman challenging anyone. That's just me saying, like, I just feel very alone in the sense of I can do a lot of things, but I'm hesitant on certain things because I haven't found my thing. But why am I thinking I don't have my thing yet? And time is going by, and oh my God, I'm gonna die at 80 and I'm 40 now. And like, what the hell do I do with my life? Like, all that midlife crisis. And the best advice that I've gotten recently that helped with that was that don't beat yourself up over the previous 40 years. From 0 to 40, it's research. From 40 on, now it's your responsibility to do with good and do with bad with what you may. And that has helped me a little bit with understanding the hole I might be in my situation, in my current stance of the loss I've had. That helps me with holding on to a little bit of hope, because I think that if I can get through this, I might be able to help someone else get through this. That's what truly the only thing that is getting me through it is that I think I can help somebody else if I can actually get through this.
Right.
And when I say this means I've lost my father. I lost my partner. He died of a pulmonary embolism, merchant marine, 6'3", fit as anything. You would have never expected it. Went to have child through IVF. He died instantaneous. I continued IVF. I had a miscarriage and was terminated from my
Yeesh.
job.
Just so you
Before the
know,
miscarriage.
we have to use unalived if you remember.
Oh, sorry about
Sorry.
that.
No worries. No worries.
If I get kicked, boot me.
No. It's
But like
unlikely, but it happens to all of us. But no, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, it's
the tests
you
keep
know,
coming. They
yeah.
just keep coming
And
and coming and coming. And you know what? I would love to have a pity party and say, okay, then it's going to beat me. But these things that keep hitting me, I'm going to use it as gasoline or ammo to somehow, maybe that's the ego part of it, overcome it. and say, you know what? Okay, everything's going good. I have unemployment. I'm sending out job resumes, and all of a sudden, on the 6th month, 2 weeks ago, they just cut the unemployment, even though I was approved for 1 year through
Wow.
52 weeks. So now I'm like, okay, shit. Now I got to apply for SNAP. I've never in my life. I was making 6 figures from living in my car to 6 figures and a college degree. Okay, right? But what do people do that don't have that perspective of they can be and do better? These rules and these things coming down right now in this shit bill is so fucked up. And literally, I feel trying to purposefully and intentionally drown out the poor and people that don't have the slight bit of privilege of an education or whatever. And this is not good, and it's not a joke, and it's not funny. And people who are on that MAGA side yippity yapping about these, celebrating with these wealthy people that they're all getting these tax breaks, it's not, they're not educated enough to realize it until it hits their pocketbook. And when you take the circus away and you take their food away, shit's gonna get fucking real. And it scares the death out of me because it's impacting me, and I'm average. Okay,
I got you.
that's scary.
So
Yeah.
true.
I got to just share what Darlene shared. My son passed, and I thought there was nothing positive, but one positive was that he was in my life. So, there is, I think, in my opinion, there's nothing worse than that. But even that can be contextualized, right? So Darlene is giving us a powerful example of what I was talking about. And, it reminds me of this saying that is credited to Dr. Seuss, but it was actually a German philosopher. And I don't know the German version, but it's don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened, right? And that's what Darlene said is a version of that, right? You can focus on the loss, or you can focus on, but I had him in my life. That's part of the reason why my ex-wife and I are such good friends. Because, we could focus on the things that led to my asking her to get a divorce, right? Or we can focus on what we built since then. And that's what we do. And that's why we text each other almost every day and talk on the phone, maybe twice a month or something like that. And then even see each other once or twice a year just to have lunch or something and talk for hours on end about nothing, you know? But yeah, it's like I said, it's all how you choose to organize these things in your head. So after this reboot, we did another hour and a half. I wasn't sure. I was a little discouraged at having to reboot after a half hour because I was like, oh man, this sucks. I'm going to lose all that time. Because I'm with an agency and they only count a live session as at least 1 hour. So I was being like, this is bullshit. I don't want to reboot, but I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that you folks followed me back in here. I appreciate your time, attention, and grace. And I want to start with some final thoughts because we have been going for over 2 hours, no matter what the clock says on the top there. So WKRP, final thoughts on anything or something altogether different. Whatever is on your mind, my friend.
Final thought is it's all right to acknowledge that you're in pain and sometimes that we're going through things in life. We try to be tough. We try to be the stronger person sometimes, not let everybody see us sweat, but in reality, we're only human. And I enjoyed hearing everyone what they were saying about their struggles and the things that sometimes we don't like to pull on people because whether it's out of pride or we feel like they might say no, but in life that's what we all are supposed to be here for, to help one another. True friends, not just but the ones that God has in your life for you. But the main thing is, like I was getting what you were saying, Yoda, is if you have some friends and you've been through a struggle, and some will tell you, man, no matter what, you can come and lay on my couch because I've been through that years ago, man, and I know how it is, and that's why I'm not. How can I say? And the people that helped me the most were people I least suspected, and I thank God for them that they were in my life and still are. And I do understand how that is. Like you said, when they actually tell you, man, come on over, whatever you're going through will help, they sincerely mean it. You know, I know other people might, the ones that you're led to, I put it like that. But last thought, and I'm going to end it like that, is it's okay to like you said, be in pain, and it's also okay to let people help you, and don't be so prideful, or just when someone wants to open the door for you, then take them on their sincerity. I'll leave it like that. Thanks, man.
Excellent, brother. Have a great night. Always welcome here. All right, we're going down the line. Vicky, any last thoughts?
Oh, I like what he said about, the open door. I just want to add that, always try to give everyone a kindness. You never know if what you say to them is the first nice thing they've heard all day, all month, all year. Compliment them on their shirt, on their hair, on their, whatever. And tell your people you love them every day. You never know if that's going to be the last time you see them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And I'm going to expand on that in a moment. Just get my mouse to work. Right. But there's something that I talk about with regard to 9/11. My assumption is that everyone who left their dwelling that morning, who was leaving someone in that dwelling, more than likely said, "I'll see you later." And 2,995 of them were not able to do that. And that just speaks to what we all know but don't always think about, is that nothing is guaranteed. Tomorrow is absolutely not guaranteed. I don't care how confident you are about your plans for tomorrow. Nothing guarantees that you're going to wake up tomorrow. So that's part of my gratitude when I just wake up. It's just like, oh, man, I get another day. This is fantastic, But that's what part of what Vicky was saying reminded me of. Blue, much love. Any final thoughts?
Yes. Gosh, what a great panel. We got intimate a little bit.
Yeah.
But I would say that it's tough because I'm in a hole, but from the inside of the hole, I can at least say outward, you can still climb up, and you can still do better every day, and violently protect your peace. And if your peace is coming to a live like this, where you have a host that's going to protect you through and through, and make sure you're heard and you're represented in a way that where we might not be represented in religion or our government right now, these little tiny moments like this are okay to open your heart to, and okay to just listen in. You don't have to participate, but these little moves help you heal more so than what's offered to us out there. And it's okay to just be a participant, not talking, not necessarily joining, just listening in, and realizing that we're all human and a lot of us are in a hole, and we're just going to climb out the side of those walls, and somehow we're going to reach our hand up over that hole and come back to the surface, and we're going to pull ourselves out. And there's going to be all different degrees of that story that you're in your life, or someone else might have been in, that can help you get there. Just know you're not alone. And don't forget to wake up in the morning and be like, I woke up. I get to make the best life right now, right here, with the people I choose to be around that elevate me, and I can help elevate them Those little moments are choices you have, and they will change your life. So keep coming back and sticking around to people as good as Danny and I would say Yoddah, and offer this space of just allowing it to be okay to suffer. And we're all in different degrees of that. And there are people that are going to help you some way or another out of that and support you, even when you
Absolutely.
feel alone.
Yeah, beautifully said. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Yoddah.
Oh man, this panel has been spectacular. God. Oh, I am re-energized. I had a great day. Nothing bad happened today. But I've been feeling kind of tired the last few days. And like I said, when I had to reboot the live because of technical bullshit, I was annoyed for 10 seconds. But then I was like, yeah, this is a real first world problem, so don't dwell on this, But I feel that I was rewarded for my patience by hearing from such lovely people. And we're going to save Danny for last, as always. Any closing thoughts, Danny?
Well, Vicky, if you're still in the room, I would honestly say that if you needed help, you would never have to ask me because I'd be over there volunteering to help. So that I encourage you to get that knee taken care of. It's not a good thing to keep struggling with. My wife Carol's had both of her knees done, and I know you should have somebody that'd be able to help you. I know you got a son that can't drive, so please take care of yourself and get the knee done. As
Yeah,
far as
sooner rather than
Dar-
later. I'm totally in agreement with Danny on that one.
yeah, Darlene, I've Carol and I have lost a couple of children in the last 15 years. It's a terrible thing that happens. It takes away a piece of our heart when it did, and but we are blessed of the memories that we had of our kids. And even though they went too young, below the age of 50, it was still tough.
Yeah.
And I understand completely. And hugs and prayers to you. I hope that you continue on. You have a great attitude about it, and I think you're in a good place. I have to agree with you, Yoda. The panel was amazing tonight. I'm so glad you restarted.
Yeah.
We got up to 50 people here in the live. Uh, the people that tapped and shared out the live was amazing. They really did an excellent job. They came through. They
Yeah.
almost hit 30,000. Well, we just hit
Yeah.
30,000. So they
30,000
did great.
in under 2 hours. That's nice.
And they knocked out the gift goal.
Yep.
And I think it was a great day. I don't know about you, but
Oh, I'm
I
with
think
you.
that,
I'm with you. I'm loving it.
and I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to share this couple hours with you as usual. And I want you to rest up tomorrow and not watch some
Yeah.
movies, listen to
Yeah,
some
yeah,
good
yeah.
music,
Tomorrow, I
exercise.
think I think I have like 3 or 4 of them lined up. It's going to be a marathon tomorrow.
There you go. But Carol and I are hopefully going to go out tomorrow and put the top down on the Mustang and take it for a
Nice.
drive out to Hoodport, Washington, and back. So that's
Beautiful.
going to be our goal. So you won't see me on TikTok streets. You can look for me, but you're not going to see me. Not very long anyway. I'll be later on that evening. Hopefully, I'll have some pictures I can share with you
Oh, that'd be great.
with
Yeah.
Carol and I and the pony, and we're looking forward to it. So you have a great rest of your evening,
All right.
and thank you everyone for coming on. As Yoda will close it out here in just a few seconds when I shut up. So
All
you
right.
have a great day.
All right. Take care, Danny. All right, folks. This has been an invigorating live for me. I mean, just, you know, I love real shit. I can't stand small talk. I don't talk about the weather. I don't talk about the game last night. I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. I love it when people are willing to be honest and vulnerable and just dig deep and just do everything that everybody on the panel did today. This is heaven for me. So for all of you that participated in any way, shape, or form, whether you stopped in for a few minutes or a few seconds and left, or hung out for the whole time, for all the tapping, for all the gifts, for all the comments, I sincerely appreciate that. The panel, absolutely spectacular. I can't say enough about how brilliant this panel was. I feel privileged and extremely pleased that these folks came into my little world on TikTok, and I try to participate with everybody online and offline. This is a good group, so let's keep it going. I'm off tomorrow, Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We get it going again, Monday through Saturday. For the time being, that's going to be the thing, and I'm going to be contacting some of you individually, but just as a blanket thing, I have a new profile, which is coach.yoddah. That's Yoddah, because film studios are litigious. And that's where I'm going to talk about these types of things that we talked about tonight. Just how to manage your emotions, how to get the most out of life that you can, how to be comfortable in your own skin, how to recover from trauma. I do all that stuff. So for now, peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon. Have a beautiful night.